Welcome to this video. I'm Dr. SETO. I'm the instructor for this course in Grade 12 Accounting in Sunny Subang Jaya, and it's the Canadian Pre-University program at Taylor's College. I'm preparing this PowerPoint to help you with your ISU. Remember, the ISU is Independent Study Unit or Individual Study Unit. And it's due at the end of the semester. The report itself is the 12th of November, which is a Thursday. And then starting the following week is your presentations. It looks like your presentations are between 15 to 20 minutes. And we are going to, or I will be posting videos and information on classroom.google.com and often also on our Facebook page, because some people really look on their Facebook more often. So let's go and let me see what we have today. So we've been starting our ISU project by getting an overview. So the overview, remember, is presented by this document, which I gave to you folks. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. So this document is the basically the checklist of everything you need to present in your ISU. And here we are. It goes to part I, and then there's the conclusions and recommendations. So far, we have been on Part A, the first or initial review of the annual report. Remember, we covered that title page and then table of contents and the executive summary. The executive summary comes right after the table of contents, but you don't do the table of contents or the executive summary until you finish the report. So I think that you're well ahead of the game if you do the title page right now, and then start on Part 1, which is the review of the annual report. And so for our intents and purposes, we're going to be using Chapter 4 of the textbook because the textbook is Presentation of Financial Statements, and it focuses on the annual report. Let's go to this Word document, which is the annual, Part A, and which is the initial review of the annual report. In my first class on this, we looked at the corporate information and where to find it on the internet. All companies which are publicly listed are required by the stock exchange they're listed under to publish their reports. They have to follow a certain format depending on the requirements of the stock exchange where they're listed for sale. So the New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ or CAC Current. For example, Toronto, we have the TSX. So everyone does it, but remember that there is a movement towards international financial reporting standards. So that's why you'll find that there's a lot of consistency. We've looked very briefly at Samsung and Apple. So for you, it'd be great for you to start on this Part A, the initial review of the annual report. And as I say before, we looked at where do you find the company report? Check on the internet. As I say, it's all freely available. And what you have to do is you have to give an outline of the company based on the information of the annual report. And so what we did first was we looked at an overview of the company, who's who, and where's the meeting of the annual shareholders. Apple usually meets at their headquarters in Cupertino, California, which is outside of San Francisco. Cupertino is in the Silicon Valley area, which is very significant and in the tech world. There are a few extra points that we need to get to. So besides the general corporate information, let's look at Part 2, which is basically an internal overview and analysis of what's going on. It's their report to the shareholders, and it's from the inside the company. So it's managers' explanations of how we're doing. And the first, basically it's the chairman of the board. And remember, the chairman of the board of directors. The board of directors represent the interests of the shareholders. So it's ownership. And so what they do is they report on what they think management have done. It's usually quite positive. It doesn't have to be. Look at General Motors. It's not always the most positive thing there, but it's got to be accurate. So when you have the annual report, it's very detailed. There are also quarterly reports that people, sort of corporations, do have to issue, but it's not as thick as the annual report. One thing to note about the annual report is it gives a lot of information horizontally, so across the years. And keep in mind that we had this major worldwide recession. It's still impacting all of us today. And so this puts everything into context. At this point, I just wanted to show you this document. It's prepared by Mr. Brian Trent, and how to read an annual report. So as you can see, there's several steps to reading the annual report, and what we're doing in Part A is we're sort of guiding you through how to read an annual report. Okay, now let's just go back to, there we are. So we've looked at the fact that the annual report, it's issued to the owners of the company, and it looks at the trends, and it looks at what's going on in the world, so it puts things into context. Next, on other statements and disclosures, they talk about how this company is run, and that's what corporate governance is all about. Corporate governance is a big thing these days, in light of the scandals that are going on. Sometimes management and the owners, the board of directors, I should say, have too cozy a relationship. And that's not good, because managers are supposed to report to the owners. And if they're one and the same, it's not good for the other shareholders, because then we run into the ethical problem of, well, whose interests are best served? And really, it should be the owners of the company. So take a good look at the corporate governance. Especially take a look at who's on the board of directors, and are they as independent, as impartial as they should be, or is there some sort of bias? If we look at this next part, it's the financial statements. Remember, I've said before, you've got to look at the truth, and the auditors are the ones who assess these financial statements and say, this gives a true picture of what the workings of this organization are. So it's very important that you look at who is signing off on this. And let me just go over here. So anyway, so let me just go down to where we were before. And let me just go to, there we are, auditor's report. So every company is required, if you're listed, to have auditors look over your reports. And then they have to say, at the end, is this a true reflection of what's going on? Is it an unqualified opinion that this reflects the true picture of the company? Or is it qualified? Well, we have some disagreements with what these people inside the company have said. Or is it adverse? Look, with this part we disagree on. We're going to write our own opinion. Let's look at an example. This is from Bass, and this is directly from your textbook. And so they're saying, okay, we've audited, and basically we've audited according to German GAAP. Then they go on, and they give detailed information. You know, we have to look at everything, and we have to look in the context of the legal environment, etc. We look at management analysis. I mean, we looked at everything. They want to show their due diligence. And so this is the part. So in our opinion, okay, in our opinion. So in our opinion, now you're saying, in our opinion, So we're looking for, is it qualified, unqualified, or adverse? We're hoping it's unqualified. We want them to say, we stand by what has been written here. We are in total agreement. So basically, in our opinion, based on the International Financial Reporting standards, etc., yes, basically it gives a true and fair view of the net assets, financial position, and results of operations in accordance with the requirements of the International Financial Reporting Standards. In other words, it's clear, they say it is. We support this. And the management analysis, yes, it's consistent. So basically, KPMG, which is one of the largest accounting firms out there, they said, yes, this is absolutely something that we're on 100% on board with. And so if you look at the annual report here, so did you find out, did they sign off on it? And in this case, absolutely, they signed off. KPMG signed off on this. So basically, it was an unqualified, basically, agreement. These days in the accounting world, everyone's giving these auditors' reports a lot of scrutiny because of what happened with Enron. Enron was a huge corporation in the United States that went basically in 24 days went bankrupt, and no one caught the fraud that was going on. Arthur Andersen, which was one of the big historically important accounting firms, they had signed up on all this paperwork, and they said it was true. It turned out it wasn't. So Arthur Andersen is no longer business. When Enron went down, so did Arthur Andersen. So as you can see, this Enron video, the video on Enron is called "The Smartest Guys in the Room," and if you look here under what we're doing later on in the, I think, is it here? Let me just check. Yes. Beg your pardon. Here we are. For your blended learning, which is coming up this Friday, I'd like you to watch The Smartest Guys in the Room. And I'd like you to post in a paragraph what you think about it. Look especially with the ethics. Now, what people are saying as well, where do I find it? Well, I'm going to try to post this video, Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, on our classroom.google site. So then, therefore, you can watch it, and on your own leisure time. 2 o'clock in the morning is fine with me. I'm not going to be there. And then you can, post. So let me just now go back to the video. So, okay, so basically in the annual report, you're looking for the annual report to be, very, very detailed. And I'm not, if you're going to print it off, because you do have to for the report, try to double-side it. Therefore, we're not wasting a lot of paper, but I think it's very good that you print it off so that you have something concrete to work with. When you're seeing something on your tablet, you're just one step away from it. I think it's very important to engage with it. Let me just tell. Okay, so basically, you'll see the trends, as I say. 2 years. I think most places do 3 years. So you might just want to check that out. And your textbook goes into great detail on how exactly it's compliant with the International Financial Reporting Standards. Here's another thing that you could see, is when they do the balance sheet, most of the time they like doing it, which is the report format, rather than this side by side. But I do believe they're allowed to do side by side. And so there it is. We talked about liquidity, and so you'll see that broken up. And there we are. You can do it side by side, the account format, but they like the report format better. There's not a heck of a lot to say. The rest of this is just detailed, and here it is. We start in Malaysia. We're going to end in Malaysia. I love how your book is international. So here we are, and as you can see, everything in AirAsia is broken down